For my sixth and final part of my classroom tour, um, I had a hard time finding these because of the way the classroom set, because it's an all boys class, and we talked about this briefly. But because it's an all boys class, the research that they did with the all boys school suggested that a classroom um, as shouldn't be super stimulating, and so the normal elementary classroom that has the alphabet on the along the top of the bulletin board and all those things. This classroom doesn't have any of that. It's quite bare, and I think that is helpful for the classroom management. At least that's what the research shows. But it makes it tough to do something like this where there's lots of stuff around the classroom. So what I chose to do for my last one that kind of ties in with this is presentations. That's one thing that really ties to curriculum that I see. The whole 4.3 present and share. Ms. Morrison does a lot of project-based stuff, and so when we did a project on flight. That was a project they're doing their advocacy fair. They did their Genius Hour presentations, as well as book report presentations, and they did some peer teaching and stuff within social. So in the 5 weeks that I was there, we had 5 different projects or things that we started and wrapped up that involved them presenting in some way. And so for the period of time that I was there, at least, due to the heavy amount of projects they did, presentations were huge there. And so and I think that's pretty common in the grade 6 level, just with the different the way the curriculum set up. It sets up really nicely for project work, which is a huge part of the language arts curriculum. And so again, that's mainly 4.3% share. Use various styles and forms of presentations depending on content, audience, and purpose. So again, there's tons of different stuff. And the way technology is exploding, kids are doing different stuff. Some kids did, it's kind of like a PowerPoint, but it's like a comic strip that there's a website that they can go on and they can do that. Like I said before, in some of the other videos, some kids were doing coding stuff where they actually were creating video games that kids would play. They made trifolds, they made models, everything. So there's tons of different stuff there. I was blown away, and they had worked on this a lot last year with their class, but I was blown away by how good they were in their listening. They were very respectful for the most part. They had appropriate comments and questions, but you could tell that they had been schooled in that, and I found it really refreshing to be in a classroom like that. And so I look at my own class and I go, how can I do that? And sorry, the example that with that is every time they would give a comment at the end of a book report or whatever, it always started with, I really liked how you did this. And so it starts off with positive, affirming words, which is really good, just, as a listener, and how to encourage your classmates. And then they know that they're going to get that respect back, and so they do that. And then at the end, they kind of go, I wish, or one thing that I think could have made it even better. Like that's the type of language they're using in grade 6, which is pretty advanced for grade 6, I find. One thing that would have made it even better if you would have rehearsed it a little bit more, so you could have been a bit more smooth in your presentation, or things like that. And so I was blown away by the level of the comments that they were making. And so I look at that. That really ties in to my emphasis on attitude, and I'm going to talk about this more in my comprehensive plan and things like that. And 5.1, respect for others, and to strengthen community. I think all that flows together. My own view, I guess, on elementary school and education is that language arts is the most important subject about that. And I'm not just saying that to kiss up to you because I know you're a language arts buff, but I think nothing else is more important to their future in studies and academia or academics as their literacy. And so I think it's really important to develop positive attitudes and self-efficacy around that. And so I think, and I'll talk about this more, and I'm getting off track, but I think having a positive attitude and associations towards language arts and reading and writing is more important than the actual skills of it. Especially early on in elementary school, and less so as you move on in school. But even at grade 6, these kids are very weak in their reading and writing, and that needs to get better if they're going to continue to have success or have success at the next level. more on